Hello and welcome to Cyber Sensei, the definitive podcast for cybersecurity educators brought to you by Cyberbit. Hi, I'm Sharon. I'm Cyberbit CMO, and for most of you, welcome back. Hi, first timers. And as always, Adam, great to have you with us and long time. I
Nice.
missed a few episodes. Nice to see you again. And today
Good to
I'm
be.
happy to host Diego again in our first time together. Hi, Diego.
Hello, how are you?
Hello, hello. I'm all well, and hope you guys are well as well and ready to start. So I'll just run through some of the logistics before we start, and then we can jump right into our pretty exciting topic of today of CE designation. So to all of you who are here, this is a live session. Feel free to ask questions. Just put them in the Q&A box. We'll start answering them in about 25 minutes after we finish our little session. And feel free to raise your hand. We'll open your mic and just let you ask questions verbally if you're not too shy, or if you are, just go ahead and put them in the Q&A box. Now, another reminder, the session is recorded and the recording is going to be available on all the leading podcast platforms as well as on the Cyberbit YouTube channel. You're going to get a link to the recording after this session within a couple of days. All the updates are going to be published on Cyberbit's LinkedIn profile, including future episodes. So please definitely feel free to follow us on LinkedIn to learn about new episodes, new topics that are coming up. And today is our second of two sessions with Diego, and we'll let you reintroduce yourself in just a minute. And we are going to explore your impressive case study, and you're coming from Miami-Dade College and one of the leaders of the cybersecurity program. Last time I was not around, but you and Adam discussed how to build a new program. And today we are going to focus on the interesting topic that, again, a lot of questions that we're getting about this topic, which is CAE Designation, Center of Academic Excellence, and how you guys, Miami-Dade College, which is a great cybersecurity program, received it in less than 3 years since the program was established, which is quite impressive. I think it's the only institution that I know of that got this designation so quickly after establishing the program. So let's jump right in. And Shahar, I'm not sure if you wanted to launch a poll now or to let Adam start, so let me know. I think there's a poll coming, but
I'll do
let
it
me
now.
check.
I'll do it now.
All right, so
Thanks, Sharon.
hold for a poll, and you should be seeing a poll which will let us learn a little bit more about your background. With regards to your background as a CAE, and it should appear on the screen right now saying, are you a CAE designated institution? Either you are or you would like to become one. The option I don't want to become one is not available on the screen. We're assuming that if you're here, then probably you want to. But again, feel free to put in the most appropriate answer for you. And Shahal, just let us know when we can continue.
Well, Diego, while they're finishing that survey, why don't you give a quick reintroduction to your role and your background?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I'm a computer science professor at Miami-Dade College, cybersecurity, cloud computing. And about 6 years ago, we started working on our cybersecurity program, developing a new program of study here in Miami-Dade College. Our first program was a combination of a CCC, which is a college credit certificate that is now 6 courses for somebody that wants to upskill. And then we created our associates in cybersecurity. At the moment, we also have a bachelor's that we launched in the spring of 2021, and we're going up for designation for that program as well. I've been here, I'm the point of contact for our Center of Academic Excellence, or CAE designation, for the college, and we'll talk more about that as we progress through the call.
Thanks, Diego. And just to summarize for the audience, for those who didn't get a chance to listen to the first session, we sort of advocate that you would. But Diego talked about the 5 pillars of building his program, working through the knowledge units with the NSA, the state framework, the programs and classes, industry certificate. He went through these 5 pillars of building his program. And he talked about his relationship with industry and about his emphasis on using tools and curriculum and instructors to build work-ready talent, hands-on work-ready talent. But part of that journey, and the second part, is the importance of achieving the NSA's Center for Academic Excellence designation. And today we'll interview Diego and talk about, well, how did he make that happen? What did he and his team do? So Diego, let me start off with the first question for those that might not be familiar. Can you give a summary of what the CAE designation is and its role in our education sector today?
So for us, the CAE designation, Center of Academic Excellence, designated by the National Security Agency, it was a process that we kind of had it in the back of our minds. And when I say we, from our previous conversation, I said every institution that wants to do this has to have 2 champions. One in the administration that will be able to move all the pieces that are necessary to create such programs, and then somebody in the faculty that will help lead from that side when you're developing a program like this. But the CAE designation was something that it was both in back of our minds. Didn't talk about it from the beginning, myself and the dean, but as we progress into the development of our program, we realized that both of us had experience with the CAE in one way or another. We knew of the program. So in my case, it was part of my graduate studies. The school I went to happened to be a CAE school. They were going for the designation, but they were in partnership with another CAE school in the University of North Carolina school system. And through that, the CAE schools were doing scholarship for service. And the Department of Defense, the National Security Agency, were looking for new talent. And at that time, they were offering scholarships for people to go into the cybersecurity arena. And that's how I got involved. So once I got to Miami-Dade College as a professor now, I had it in the back of my mind. I knew of the existence. I knew what the program could do. And that's kind of what got us to go in for the designation. And so what it does, it provides your program kind of like a stamp of approval saying your program is currently, I want to emphasize on that, is currently a good program, sound, you follow all the requirements, and I'll talk a little more about that. But there is a redesignation process. You get designated for a certain amount of years. And then after that, every year you got to submit an annual report stating everything that you have done that year to keep up with the designation and the requirements.
And by the way, Diego and Adam, we just got the results of the poll, and none of there we go. And we can actually see it on the screen right now. 100% of the respondents are not a CE and would like to become one. So it sounds like we've got the right audience today. They all want to learn from you. They all want to learn what is this amazing thing. I think some of you, I kind of recognize the names, are aware of what it is, but maybe you still don't have the designation. So certainly to learn more about why they should get this designation as you started, and also any tips on how they can fast track it and just get their approval, how to get prepared for it. So Adam, back to you.
Yeah, and just to remind everybody, the NSA created this program many years ago to set a high bar, and it has to do with the excellence of the education program, the instructors themselves, and also their give back to the community, to creating a center, some way to show your leadership in the community, be a center, and to give back. And the NSA takes this very seriously. The lady who runs this program, Lynn Clark and others, I mean, they have decades and decades of Defense Department experience and decades of NSA experience, and they know what our nation needs to become secure and resilient. So there's multiple CAE designations. But for the benefit of this conversation, Diego, clarify for the audience which designation you went after and why.
The one we went after was the CD, the cyber defense. There are some for research. So when I did it, it was a university. So universities usually get the research because at the university level, you do more research and things of that nature. So, and then it depends now that it's back down to the colleges and community colleges that 2-year programs can be designated. So that's why there is now multiple types of CAE designations. A college can actually have multiple CAE designations depending on the work that they do. But for us, it was cyber defense in the way that our 2-year program is constructed, and what our students can get from it to be able to be market ready when they graduate.
What are the, so just for my education and kind of understand, but what are the main types of CAEs that are out there, and does it make sense to start with any specific ones, or does it depend really on your program?
Yes, the program that you have will be the one that dictates which type of designation you have. So a CAE in cyber defense would be most appropriate for a community college, probably program, a bachelor's, and associates. A CAE in research would be more appropriate for an institution like a university working on research that goes in a different route and is producing students maybe at the graduate level, master's, doctorates. So in that sense, that's why each one of them has its place in the designation process.
You have cyber defense, cyber operations, and cyber research. And as Diego mentioned, a lot of schools that are 4-year that have a computer science program may get into that cliff. They've got a master's or a PhD program that might go for that. And then some schools are working more on the operational side. So there are multiple designations, but defense for the 2-year and 4-year schools is the most prevalent. And Diego, when you were going for that designation, what were you thinking was the benefit you were going to achieve? Why did you put in the efforts to go after it?
So first and foremost, again, being from a predominantly community college, 2-year degrees, we need to produce students that are workforce ready. So in that sense, we are always looking for what can give our students the edge in what we do and the programs that we have. So in that sense, knowing that, because once you get designated as an institution, you get to put on your students' transcripts when they graduate from your program that they are or they graduated from a CAE institution, and hopefully that holds more weight as they go out to the market and try to become more employable. So everything that we do, we kind of gear towards the student. So from the student perspective, that was it. From the institution perspective, being an institution that is a center of academic excellence, that we're able to say that at the time there were only 4 or 5 in the state of Florida. I just saw the list before this, and I counted 8 colleges. There is multiple universities as well, and again, the designations might be different between the colleges and universities, but it does carry weight. The institution is a CAE, not just our program, and I like to clarify that Miami-Dade College is a center of academic excellence in cybersecurity as an institution, and then it goes down to the program that it goes with. But it opens the door even for the institution with other programs coming up, with other things that we do. We are about to go to the CAE Symposium, and they just put out something about cybersecurity and AI. So it's an opportunity to actually even look forward to new technologies and new programs that might be coming along as we do this.
So basically, the symposium is basically an event, like a closed event for the CAE community. So that's where you can kind of learn about new tech. And in terms of the rest, you talked about positioning. So the positioning of the institutions also. And did you want to add anything about the event?
The event happens every year. I'm the point of contact at Miami-Dade College, so I'll be attending all the point. So the way it works in just the setup of the system, once you become designated, you have to have a point of contact, usually a faculty member or your lead faculty member, and then an alternate point of contact so that you have 2 people. Usually our dean becomes the alternate. I'm the point of contact, and I'm the one that travels, and the purpose is to gather the information, bring it back, and keep building the program.
And is there any advantage or benefit as far as getting grants, government grants by being a CAE? Does that improve the access or the ability to get one?
So I want to say yes. And then you get access to other grants that you might not otherwise. But it does carry, to me, it does carry some weight when you go in and apply for a grant and say, we are an institution that has been certified. So I look at it as a certification of our programs. And then we want to keep building on that through this grant to do this extra stuff or do this more other things for our students. And we might have a much better chance. That's the way I look at it. But yes, it does carry some weight. And you do have the opportunity to apply for other things. Scholarship for Service is something that I went through as a master's degree program. And now it's down to the community college level. And we've been working on getting our students maybe some of those opportunities as well. So it has opened its doors to a lot of different things for us as an institution.
Great. And then before I let you ask the next question, just reminding the audience that if you have a question, don't forget to put it in the Q&A, so you don't forget it for the rest of the session. So feel free to put them in now as we speak. So we'll either answer them now in real time or later on when we conclude the session, but definitely keep putting in questions as we continue.
So Diego, to summarize, why is it worth putting the effort? You mean there are some CAE designated only opportunities for grants, the scholarship for service. It's an independent verification which attracts students because they see it's a prestigious school. You can attract higher caliber talent to come support your school because they see that you've gone through that effort, access to resources, and of course a community. And you also have a responsibility, though. As you said, you have a responsibility to give back. You have a responsibility to do your annual report. So if you could, but before we get to that, what did you do to get the certificate, to get the designation rather? Did you do it with consultants, do it with an internal team? What did you go through? And what modifications did you have to make to the legacy program to achieve that designation?
So we were lucky, and then for those that were in the audience 2 weeks ago, we talked about that and how do we set up our program. But there was no program in reality. There were some classes that were, we had the cybersecurity fundamentals and everything else. So when we decided to create it, we looked at CAE, what is it that you need to have that designation at the end, and work backwards from there. So the pillars that we set up and the things that we did, we're looking into, okay, so once we launch, we do want to apply to become a center of academic excellence. And we want to make sure that we do everything. So because it's very hard. So you just said something. If you have a program in place and you want to designate it or put it up for designation, you might need to go back and review the entire program. And that means changing courses, adding courses, changing the way that even your institution, and I want to talk about that a little bit later, changing the way your institution does cybersecurity and everything else, because it's a very comprehensive process. So for us, we were lucky that from the beginning, we set out to apply for CAE designation once we found out that that was an opportunity that we had. And that's why we became designated so fast, because we had done everything from the onset that we thought was required to be able to be designated. So we did have to change some courses. We had some courses in the books that we had to go back and redo, align to the knowledge units from the NSA, and do other things that we make sure from the beginning were there as foundational. So when we got to apply for the designation, we were not an easier process. It's a tedious process. It takes a while, and then it's a lot of steps. And I'll talk more about that in a minute. But we wanted to make sure that we laid out the foundation. So we were lucky. We didn't have a program that we had. Sometimes that is harder when you have a program, not impossible, because you're going to have to change a lot of different pieces in order to make it happen. As far as consultants, we created our build. So having your industry involved from the beginning, that's something that we did. We created a business industry leadership team, which is a much better advisory board than the regular ones that usually universities have, in which we gave a seat at the table to the industry to come in from the beginning. And in that way, they were able to help us, number one, tell us, is our program that we're designing good? Number two, is this the student that if he graduates from this program, you will want in your company? And then that's how we went about doing that. And then, trying to get them cyber ready, hands-on on day one, that they're able to make an impact. Our cyber range was a core or our program in our designation, because the designation does require you to have a cybersecurity center. And for us, it was the cyber range, and it has provided our students with that hands-on experience. And industry has come in and seen that, where is it that our students train and what is it that we do in there. So in that sense, that's how we came to it, and we're able to get it in the 3 years from the moment that we started to the moment that we got designated, which is the minimum amount of time, of time to get designated.
So to rewind, you created the cyber program with this designation in mind. So you were sort of ahead of the game. You decided with internal talent to go after the designation, but you created a partnership with your business industry local players to help give capability, give honest feedback to the team, how to create work-ready talent. And then as you said, then part of the requirement is that you create a center, you give back, but also be to understand something. And you decided to build your center around the work-ready talent that you could defend and validate with a range. Is that a fair summary?
Yes, yes. The Cybersecurity Center of the Americas, which is where our cyber range is housed, is where our students train. Some of the industry comes and train. Our own internal cybersecurity team for the college trains. So we used it to the max in many different areas to make sure we maximize what it can do for our institution as a whole.
Awesome. Now, the joke is that sometimes, like writing software is like a marriage. The cost of the acquisition is a lot less than the cost of the upkeep, right? We were joking about that. So now you get the designation. You've gone through that, and the NSA, the folks that I've worked with, are very reasonable. They're very smart, but they're very reasonable. They want you to be successful, but they want you to meet a high bar. But you can't just get to that bar. You got to stay at that bar. So now you have annual reports to do and things that you can. Can you walk the audience through what does it take to maintain that designation?
Yes, and so when you first get designated, you go for two things at the same time. You go for your program of study that you build and develop, and you get students, and you have to have graduates. And it's four main areas that you got to showcase. The program of study curriculum, make sure that your curriculum is sound, follow the knowledge units from the NSA. The students, you have to have graduates. How are you improving how your graduates or your students are doing? So are they attending conferences? Are they going into competitions? Do you have cybersecurity clubs and everything else? Faculty members. Who are the faculty members that are teaching in your program? Where is your process for professional development? Are they getting certified themselves? Are they going to conferences? Are they being afforded the latest and greatest in cybersecurity, so they can come back into the classroom and teach it in that way? And then you got to prove a continuous improvement, making sure that you have a sound idea into how you're going to maintain your program. And then within the CAE designation, there is one thing that always caught my attention is the NSA wants to see that you as an institution have a sound cybersecurity program. So we had to go to our CISO for the college and get all the different documentations on how Miami-Dade College does cybersecurity as an institution, as a college, as an organization. And that to me was immensely comforting to see that, because they don't only want the academic, they want your institution to really be a CAE in all aspects, and in your program and in the way that you run cybersecurity at the institution. So in that sense, that's kind of what the whole program encompasses, to make it as sound as it is.
Thanks. And Diego, if it's kind of an unfair question, but I'm okay asking rude questions. If you had to guess, you and your team, how many hours you put into this, just roughly, is this in the 300 to 500 hour range, or was this a even heavier lift?
So our designation, it took us about a year and a half from the moment we started to the moment we were designated. Through the process, I tell people about 120 to 125 documents I have in my folder that we have to submit, because you have to submit syllabi and labs and all the different things that demonstrate that you have a sound cybersecurity program all around. So it is fair to say a couple of hundred hours the team puts together. And again, it's many people that comes at one point. So I'm the point of contact. The dean was the alternate. We were working on it nonstop. But then we had to pull in from the faculty. So there were some hours in there from the students, from the college administration and everybody else. But yes, it takes an amount of time and dedication from beginning all the way to attaining the certificate, the designation.
And you really need somebody riding herd on that, keep that consistency and pull it all together. But the NSA said the community there under Rodney and Lynn and others, they've done a good job of defining this process and everything. But quite often there's still some surprises, things you go, I wish I had thought about this. Or did you face any of those?
I'm sorry, I was reading one of the questions on the Q&A. Can you repeat that?
I was wondering, did you face any surprises during the course of engaging with the NSA and what it took to pull the materials together to get the designation?
So again, we were lucky. So we didn't. We were lucky. And then the nice thing about the process is you submit or pre-submit. Somebody pre-reviews your application, sends you back feedback, then you submit again. It's a line of reviewers that you get from the moment that you start submitting, that you get feedback and you can communicate back and forth. And I'm more aware of the process because the day after we became designated, I put my name in the hat to be a reviewer so that I can help the community, which is another thing that is required. You got to go give back to the community. You got to become part of the CAE community and be active in it. So in that sense, we didn't get much of that. But again, I think it was on the background that I came from a CAE institution. The dean knew about it, and another one of our faculty members got a doctorate from a CAE institution. So we kind of knew what was required and the little things that we needed to make sure that we did. And so in that sense, I think that played a little bit into our favor when we did this.
Awesome.
Diego, I have a quick question, and I know we got a couple of questions from the audience, which we want to answer in a moment, but did you have any resource to go to understand? I mean, you did some amazing prep work. Where did you understand what do you actually need to do in terms of the program? So do you have like a clear website with guidelines, documentation, or is this something you needed to ask around? I mean, I'm sure the audience here is kind of wondering how to actually plan this as well as you did.
Yes, and so we have put in the chat, and I don't know if people from the Q&A get to see the chat, but we put the CAE community.org. You go in there, and to be honest, that was really good. So the first thing that I kind of looked at is who's already designated in Florida, because that's your motivation, who you know, and then seeing that, and then from there, the manual is very explicit, line by line, on everything that you need to do. We met with the Whatcom Community College individuals that are behind the designation. They met with us to guide us and help us. So it's a community that wants people to succeed, and in that sense, we were able to get those answers.
So basically, go to caecommunity.org, which is in the chat. It has really good guidelines. Start there, and then see who's designated within your state or around you, just to see kind of who's already done it. Maybe they'd even be willing to share some information and help. So that's great. And I don't know, Diego, if you'd be willing if you'd be willing the audience to, or would agree that the audience would get in touch with you if they wanted to ask a couple questions.
Yes, of course.
So we'll drop your LinkedIn in the chat then, and then maybe they can connect with you. All right.
That would be a way to communicate.
Great. Adam, do you want to go to the next question, or do you prefer to ask anything of your own first, to go to the audience questions, or?
Yeah, Sharon, let's go through the audience questions. I think Joseph's got a couple of good questions there.
Yeah, so two questions from Joseph, and guys, keep sending in those questions. There's some great questions here. So, Diego, is there a minimum academic requirement to be accepted in your program? What specific disciplines are needed, required, or recommended? I guess minimum requirements within your academic program to be accepted as a CAE, if I'm reading this correctly, right? Adam, do you think I read this correctly? So what's the minimum requirements of the academic program so they can be accepted?
For our program, if a student wants to get into our program, is that what I'm understanding?
I think so. Joseph, tell us if we're... Okay.
So we're an open institution. Miami-Dade College is an open institution. And to be honest, our Intro to Cybersecurity course doesn't have any prerequisites. So you can come in and start in it. We do recommend some IT experience that you have. But the program, again, being that we are a 2-year degree, we don't have those type of prerequisites. Now you want to go into the bachelor's in cybersecurity does have some prerequisites. But as our associates, which was our first designated program, our bachelor's is going through the process. I think we're towards the end. But our bachelor's does have some more requirements. You're going to have a basic scripting course, some cybersecurity entry-level courses. And if you do the AS in cybersecurity, you're right into the bachelor's. But for our AS, we do not have any mandated prerequisites. So anybody can jump in and start from from the onset on that program.
So that might answer the next question by a bit, but I'll bring it up anyways because I think this is actually something that you guys are really good at Miami-Dade College. So how do you bridge getting students from from the underserved educational community, and bridge them into the program? Is that something that you do? And if so, how do you do it? Who pays for the bridge courses? And then there's another question about training and assessing readiness. But let's handle the first question, which I think is something you do quite well.
Yes. So we did everything at the same time. So as we were putting the program together, thinking CAE, we applied for our first NSF grant, and our NSF grant had the words underrepresented minorities in it. We wanted to kind of bridge the gap between the community and the talent that is out there in this particular field. There were some communities that we're thinking about, and through our second grant, or NSF, we came, and for that one, we wanted to also include women as underrepresented minority, because our field is very underrepresented for, with women. And in that sense, our second time around, we actually got 2 NSF grants instead of 1. And we have one that we're working on right now that is targeted towards women in this computer fields, including cybersecurity. So in that sense, that's how we've been able to fund some of the things that we have been able to do through grants. The state of Florida has been great, and I don't know, every state has different processes and approaches, but the state of Florida has been great as trying to increase the cybersecurity education in the state as a whole. So we've been able to get some state funding as well to help us provide our students with the education without having to worry about the cost. Also, being a 2-year institution, mainly we are a college. Our cost is not compared to that of other larger institutions. So in that sense, it becomes feasible for our students to come in and get the education that they need. But that's how we've been able to leverage and bridge that gap and be able to help those students.
Yeah. So Joseph, I hope that answers your question. And the second part of the question, and I mean, the second part is, what approach did you use to train and assess readiness to enter your program? And it sounds like you had a pretty broad criteria, so we weren't too picky to allow a lot of folks to enter and have an opportunity to get into cybersecurity. So did you actually use any readiness assessment, or was it really like kind of a degree in IT or basic IT knowledge?
Yeah, basic IT knowledge. Again, our associate's degree does not require any prerequisites or anything like that in order to assess what the knowledge of the students is.
Yeah. And I know that it was brought up earlier, but obviously you're also a user of a cyber range, and you've implemented it, and you and Adam discussed that earlier. And you guys are working with us for years and really have one of the most mature, the Cybersecurity Center of the Americas is an amazing location, a beautiful location, and the cyber range is kind of the core of that. Was that beneficial in your application for the CAE? I mean, do you think that had any benefit, having this hands-on simulation-based cyber range program?
Yes, it has played a key role into what we do, being able to tell the industry that this is what we have, this is where the students trained, being able to tell them that also industry can come in and train in the same place. And again, being able to tell them that even our cybersecurity teams, our networking teams at the college can come in and train at the same place. Gets just a perspective into how much we benefit from having it. And it has helped a lot in that sense, in the way we produce students that are ready to make an impact on day one. And as they get in, being able to progress at a much faster rate in any organization.
Great. I know we have one more question, but Adam, I know you had a few more questions from your end, so we'll try to address this in a minute after Adam, after your next questions.
Yeah, just a couple of questions, Diego, to help set the stage here. One of the opportunities to give back, but one of the opportunities to receive from the community is the Clark site. And I was kind of interesting. I'd forgotten all about it, but some of my collateral just got posted earlier this week or late last week. I didn't, kind of surprised. I always scroll it and I saw my name on it. I went, oh, I forgot about that. But how do you leverage some of the other resources from the NSA as part of your CAE designation or other?
So that is key, to be able to see also the NCY TE Center offers. And it's key in the following way. There's a lot of curriculum in cybersecurity that is provided. So Clark, largest platform that provides free cybersecurity curriculum, because created it, designed it, and now you want to share it with everybody else. But what we do, especially during the summer and a lot of times when we use this curriculum, we bring high school students. And so our pipeline is, how do we engage the high school students into our programs? And some of this curriculum is what we use during some of our summer boot camps in order to prepare the students so that once they come in, they do a boot camp, and then they'll be ready to enter into the programs much better prepared, which goes back to the previous question, how do we prepare students? Again, we take them without, but we do run boot camps, we do dual enrollment in which students from high school come in and take some of our courses. But being able to leverage the content that we have with the opportunities afforded by something like Clark, it is incredible because we're not reinventing the wheel, and that's the key. We're not doing it from scratch. There is a lot of content that is out there that can help us leverage with what we have and in the way that we do things.
And Shahar,
Great.
producer, dropped the link in the chat. So if you want to see the Clark Center website, it's right there in the chat.
Hey, Joseph, if you're in a position to unmute and ask your question, I'm a little confused on it. You say, how much does the bridge cover and how much for students? It'd be good for you to, you could open your mic and ask the question, help us clarify it.
Yeah, Shahar, if you can, I don't know if you can unmute. I'm not
And
seeing
in the way that I understand the question, depending on the grant, we might be able to provide free tuition or a subset cost of tuition for our students.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hey, Joseph.
Loud and clear. Hi there, Joseph.
Right. Okay, so my concern is that when we try to go to the institution, and I've had this all the time because I have a soft spot for the underserved, and they tell me, well, whenever we have to train anybody, there's not enough money left over to give them an education, especially how tough things can be out there. So, but at some point, forgetting about the grants and the loans part, but the institution has to budget how many students they can have and things like that, and how long. And it's time consuming to wait for a grant to come in if you want to get on the program. So how does, especially guys like you who are so successful at it, and I'm amazed at the numbers that you have.
Yeah.
And I know what students are like when they don't know, even if they make it in, supposedly with a degree, but when they don't, how do we get them ready to be able to do something as intense as attacking cybersecurity? Besides just the knowledge, the skill set to learn and to focus and do things on time and things of that nature. Who pays for that? I always got pushback that we can't afford it.
Diego, any thoughts?
Yes. So, and again, 2 weeks ago, when we're talking about creating a program, something that I used to do when we first started, I used to do it on my own, and we was, soft skills. And Adam just said soft skills are hard skills. So in that sense, getting our students ready is not just about the cybersecurity part and the IT part. We also got to implement some of those things. So I used to do interview prep and then resume writing in addition to the technical part in my class. The college has created now an entity that helps students in that area. So through the process, the college has come to see that, what we're doing is something valuable for the students. And by the way, it's not only applied to the cyber students. Now this entity, works with any student that wants to go and get a job and be ready and do the resume writing and interview preps and all that stuff. So as we progress and the grants, and the purpose of the grants is to get you started, to help you have that funding to be able to get going. And then if you build a successful program, then the college will make it as any other program in an institution. So at this time, but we keep going for the grants. We keep going to try to leverage that cost. And again, we've just been lucky that, our state has been cybersecurity prone in the past couple of years as well. So that has helped. But I do understand, but the grants got us going. We built the program is going and being successful, and is now kind of like one of other programs in the institution that the college is seeing the benefit of it for our students.
My question was specifically for handling the students once the program is set up, not for the institution knows how to worry about getting money for the institution. I'm talking about the ongoing cost of getting underserved students who know very little and don't have a good educational experience, how to get them ready. You can't, it's not magic. You can't just throw them into a course and they're going to walk out. They have to be prepared intensively. Your program seems to me to be very hands-on intensive. They have to deliver. And if they're not used to delivering, you have to have some bridge to go from 0 to 60, literally in a time frame that gives you a 2-year associate degree, and at the same time have enough time to teach them as well. How do you do that? And what is that cost?
Yeah,
so I think guys, I think we've got just 2 minutes to the end of our session, and I know that we've got, I wanted to kind of give you plenty of time to discuss this. It was probably a good idea maybe to reconnect after the session and maybe dive into this deeper. And Joseph, we threw in dropped Diego's LinkedIn account into the chat, so you can connect, and if you need us to make a connection, we're more than happy to do that also over email, if Diego, if that's okay with you. I just wanted, since we only have 2 minutes and I want to respect everyone's time, I wanted to go to a quick summary and conclusion. And Diego, from your perspective, if we can just maybe frame or distill, like if you had 30 seconds to say, like, what are the top 3 things that everyone here apparently which wants to get their CAE, what are the 3 things they should do in order to do this at least as fast as you guys? What would you recommend them to do first?
Yes, so the first thing is assess your program. The next thing is know your student population. What are your demographics for your school or your campus? Even Miami-Dade, we have 8 campuses, and every campus has a different demographic of students that goes there. And then make sure that you understand what the industry needs. Anybody can build a program, but your program might not be what your industry or your area needs. So in that sense, getting all that done at the beginning will be a way for you to be able to have a successful program, gets designated and keeps going after that.
That's great, and then it sounds like you're going to get a lot of LinkedIn requests after this after this session. And maybe I'll add, go to the CAE community website and probably try learning from the best in the industry like you. Diego is probably a good place to start. I want to summarize. Adam, any words of for conclusion before I kind of close with the logistics?
Yeah, I'd offer my 3 as well, one of which is it is absolutely worth the hard work it takes to go after the CAE designation. You're part of a community and it levels your bar. It's worth the effort. The second thing, remember, Diego and his team had a lot of in-house knowledge, with his degree background and instructors, professors, business community that helped him get there. If not, I think you should consider hiring a consultant to help you get there, because it'll help level up your whole program and get to part of that community. But the third one is when you think about what it is that makes your program distinctive. There's hundreds and hundreds of programs that have the CAE designation. There's dozens, maybe not hundreds, that have a strong kind of center with hands-on skills development with ranges and business community and stuff like Diego and his team have built. But I think the third one is really think through what it is that makes your program distinctive. What is your earned competency, IoT, defense networks, operations, reverse engineering, whatever. Think through that carefully. Don't just try and copy somebody else. This nation needs those of you in the audience to step up, and we want to help you on that journey.
All right. Thank you very, very much. So a couple of short announcements and a few words of conclusion. So first of all, before we say goodbye, in 2 weeks, we are going to have a pretty interesting session with a guest host from Forrester Research, and this is going to be about cybersecurity skill development, education, and generally how to create workforce-ready cyber professionals as well as graduates. So we'd love you to join that. Shahar, if you can put that in the chat as well, or just go on our website and check it out. You're more than welcome to join. It's going to be a very interesting webinar, so absolutely please join that. I want to thank you, Diego and Adam. It was very educating for me, as usual. As I've mentioned, you can find the Cybersecurity podcast on Spotify, Apple, Google, and on our YouTube channel, as well as on the Cyberbit website. If you know of a colleague that can find this episode useful, definitely forward them the email with the recording. You're going to get the recording by email right after the session. And again, want to thank you very, very much for being here, Adam and Diego, and to the audience for joining us. Hope to see you on our next upcoming episodes. It's going to be interesting. So keep following us for more updates.
Awesome. Thanks, Ron. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.